The encounter. Agnes stepped into the bustling airport terminal, her crisp military uniform standing out against the sea of casual travelers. As she walked, she felt the familiar weight of people's gazes upon her. Some looked at her with respect, others with curiosity, and a few with discomfort. She had grown used to these reactions over the years, but they still stirred a mix of emotions within her. Pride swelled in her chest as she caught sight of her reflection in a nearby window. The uniform represented everything she had worked for and everything she believed in. However, a twinge of unease accompanied her pride. Being in the spotlight, even for a moment, made her feel exposed. As Agnes approached the check-in counter, her posture remained straight and her face composed. The attendant smiled warmly at her. "Thank you for your service, ma'am," he said, his fingers flying over the keyboard. "I have you in seat 23B. That's in coach. Is that all right?" "That's fine, thank you," Agnes replied with a nod. She didn't expect special treatment, nor did she want it. The idea of a cramped coach seat didn't bother her. She had endured far worse during her service. After she navigated through security and made her way toward the gate, the weariness of her recent mission settled into her bones. It had been long and grueling, testing her limits both physically and mentally, but she had persevered, as she always did. Finding a quiet corner near her gate, Agnes sat down and let out a deep breath. She closed her eyes for a moment, allowing herself a rare instance of relaxation in public. Her mind drifted to the years she had spent in the military, the challenges she had faced, and the strength she had found within herself. The military had shaped her in ways she never could have imagined when she first enlisted. It had taught her discipline, resilience, and the true meaning of service, but it had also shown her the harsh realities of the world, the weight of responsibility, and the cost of dedication. A voice over the intercom announced the boarding of her flight, pulling her from her thoughts. Agnes stood up, shouldering her bag, and joined the line of passengers. As she handed over her boarding pass and made her way down the jet bridge, a sense of calm washed over her. She was heading home, back to familiar ground after weeks away. Stepping onto the plane, Agnes's military boots fell heavy on the aisle floor, the sound echoing slightly in the confined space and drawing a few glances from already seated passengers. She moved down the aisle with purpose, her eyes scanning for her seat number. As she approached row 23, Agnes was unaware of the event about to unfold. Her mind was focused on home, rest, and the comfort of familiar surroundings. Settling into her seat in 23B, her movements were practiced and efficient. She stowed her small bag under the seat in front of her and buckled her seatbelt, feeling the familiar click as it fastened around her. The plane buzzed with activity as other passengers continued to board. As she sat quietly, Agnes noticed a well-dressed man entering the plane. He was impeccably groomed, radiating an air of confidence that made him stand out. Agnes watched as he made his way down the aisle, his eyes darting between his boarding pass and the seat numbers overhead. With each step, his brow furrowed deeper and his lips pressed into a thin line. Suddenly, the man stopped right at Agnes's row. He looked down at her, his eyes narrowing as they swept over her uniform. "Excuse me," he said, his voice sharp and impatient. "I believe you're in my seat." Agnes blinked, taken aback by his cold tone. She double-checked her boarding pass, confusion written across her face. "I'm sorry, sir, but I'm certain this is my assigned seat minus 23B. The man's jaw clenched, frustration palpable. "Well, clearly there's been a mistake because this is my seat," he said, thrusting his boarding pass toward her. Agnes felt her cheeks grow warm as she noticed other passengers turning to watch the interaction. The air around them thickened with tension. She took a deep breath, trying to keep her voice calm and steady. "I understand your concern, but I assure you, I'm in the right seat." The man scoffed, glancing around as if seeking validation from the other passengers. "Look, I don't want to make a scene, but this is unacceptable. I should not be seated next to someone like you." "Someone like me?" Agnes asked, her brow furrowing. The underlying tone of his statement struck her as more than just a claim about the seating arrangement. She could sense the prejudice lurking beneath his words. "You know what I mean," he replied, his voice dripping with condescension. "I just prefer to be around people who are, well, like me." A wave of indignation washed over her, but Agnes remained composed. She was used to standing her ground in difficult situations. "Sir, I've served my country. I have earned the right to sit wherever my ticket allows me." His eyes flashed with irritation as he gestured toward the empty seats in front of them. "Then why don't you take one of those? I don't want to sit next to you. Just move." Agnes felt the weight of his words and the judgment behind them. She glanced at the other passengers, some watching intently, others trying to ignore the exchange. Her heart raced, but she held her ground, not wanting to give in to his demands. "I will not be intimidated," she replied, her voice steady. "I'm proud of who I am and what I represent." The man crossed his arms, his expression a mixture of disbelief and contempt. "You may be proud, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm not comfortable sitting next to you." At that moment, Agnes realized that his refusal wasn't just about the seat. It was a reflection of deeper societal issues. She could feel the tension in the air, thick and charged, and she knew this moment could either escalate or serve as an opportunity for understanding. As she sat there, contemplating her next move, something inside her shifted. She wasn't just a soldier. She was an advocate for change, and perhaps this was her moment to make a difference. Before she could say anything else, she noticed something unexpected. The man's demeanor softened ever so slightly, almost imperceptibly, as he seemed to reconsider his stance. The air was thick with discomfort as Agnes prepared to respond. Suddenly, she pulled out a small notepad from her bag and began to write. She didn't know if it would make a difference, but she felt compelled to express herself in a way that might resonate. As she finished writing, she turned to him and handed him the note, her heart racing. "Please, just read this. I think it might help." The man hesitated, glancing at her before reluctantly taking the note from her hand. Agnes watched as he unfolded it, his expression shifting from irritation to curiosity. The note was simple but powerful, filled with words of understanding, compassion, and a personal account of her experiences. "Life has taught me that our differences should be celebrated, not judged," it read. "I hope that one day we can see beyond our labels and truly connect as human beings. Let's try to understand each other rather than fight against our differences." As he read, Agnes noticed a flicker of surprise in his eyes. He seemed taken aback by her openness, and for the first time, the tension between them began to dissipate. "What makes you think I care about your story?" he asked, his voice losing some of its edge. "I believe everyone has a story worth sharing," she replied, feeling a sense of relief as she spoke from her heart. "It's easy to make assumptions based on appearances, but if we take the time to listen, we might learn something valuable." The man glanced down at the note again, his expression softening further. "I never thought of it that way," he admitted quietly. I just don't like being uncomfortable." Agnes nodded, recognizing the fear that often accompanied ignorance. "I understand. We all have our fears, but growth often comes from facing them." For a moment, the man remained silent, contemplating her words. Agnes felt a rush of hope. Perhaps this was the beginning of a dialogue, a chance to bridge the gap between them. As the plane began to fill, Agnes sensed that the situation was shifting. Instead of hostility, she felt a glimmer of possibility. The atmosphere around them changed as other passengers continued to board, and the initial tension began to fade. The man finally met her gaze, his expression more open. "I'm sorry for how I reacted. I guess I was quick to judge." Agnes smiled gently, appreciating his honesty. "It's okay. We all have our moments of weakness. What matters is how we choose to move forward." With that, the plane began to taxi, and the roar of the engines drowned out their conversation. As the aircraft lifted off, Agnes felt a sense of accomplishment. She had managed to turn a negative encounter into a meaningful exchange, igniting a small spark of understanding in an otherwise tense situation. But the journey was far from over. As the flight continued, Agnes and the man would find themselves delving deeper into a conversation that could change not only their perspectives, but also the lives of those around them. They were on the precipice of something transformative, a chance to rewrite their narratives and challenge the status quo. The airplane ascended into the clouds, carrying with it the weight of stories untold, connections yet to be forged, and the potential for growth beyond mere appearances. The road ahead was uncertain, but Agnes was ready to embrace whatever lay beyond the horizon, fueled by the belief that change often begins with a simple note and a willingness to listen. The conversation. As the plane leveled out, the steady hum of the engines filled the cabin, creating a cocoon of sound that momentarily insulated Agnes and the man from the world outside. She glanced at him, still processing the note she had given him. His expression had shifted from defiance to something more introspective, and she felt a surge of hope. "I'm Marcus," he said, extending a hand. His tone was softer now, almost tentative. "Agnes," she replied, shaking his hand firmly. "Nice to meet you, Marcus. I appreciate you taking the time to share your thoughts," he said, glancing down at the note again. "It's not something I expected when I got on this flight." Agnes chuckled lightly. "Trust me, I didn't expect it either. But sometimes life throws us into uncomfortable situations for a reason." Marcus nodded, his brow furrowing in contemplation. "I guess I've always thought of myself as open-minded. But seeing you in that uniform, it made me react in a way I didn't like. I felt this instinctive aversion." "That's common," Agnes replied, leaning in slightly, her voice steady. "We're often conditioned to respond to differences with discomfort. It's not an excuse, but it's a reality. The military taught me that the most effective teams are made up of individuals from all backgrounds. Our differences can make us stronger, not weaker." He nodded again, absorbing her words. "I can see that now. It's just, I grew up in a neighborhood where we didn't really talk about these things. We didn't have those conversations. I guess I carried that with me, thinking it was just how the world worked." "I understand," Agnes said. "It's easy to stay in our bubbles, believing what we know is the whole truth. But every person has their own experiences that shape them, their own battles. Listening can be the first step toward understanding." The plane continued its ascent, and as the cabin settled into cruising altitude, the passengers around them began to unwind. Ames noticed the tension from earlier dissipate. People returned to their own worlds, engrossed in books, conversations, or devices. But for her and Marcus, the conversation was just beginning. "So, what's your story?" he asked, leaning back in his seat. His posture had relaxed, signaling a willingness to engage more openly. Agnes took a deep breath, preparing to share the journey that had shaped her life. "I enlisted in the military right after high school. It was a way for me to escape my small town and find my purpose. I've always had a sense of duty, a need to serve something greater than myself. But it wasn't just about patriotism. It was also about proving to myself that I could rise above my circumstances." "Sounds like a lot of pressure," Marcus replied. "What did you find out about yourself?" Agnes smiled at the question, her mind drifting back to her early days in training. "I learned resilience. The military pushed me beyond my limits, physically and mentally. There were moments I thought I couldn't go on, but each time I found a way to keep moving forward. It taught me that strength isn't just about physical power. It's about mental toughness, too." Marcus listened intently, and for the first time, she noticed a glimmer of admiration in his eyes. "That's inspiring. I can't imagine the kind of dedication it takes. I've always been the type to play it safe, staying in my lane, avoiding challenges. Sometimes, stepping outside your comfort zone can lead to the most profound experiences." Agnes encouraged, her voice gentle. "What about you? What do you do?" He hesitated, the question seemingly prompting a deeper introspection. "I work in finance," It's a comfortable job, but lately I've been feeling unfulfilled. I'm good at it, but I don't feel passionate about it. I guess I've been searching for something more, but I don't know what that is." Agnes nodded, recognizing the familiar struggle of searching for purpose. That's a tough place to be. I've met so many people in the military who were also looking for meaning. Some found it in service, others in camaraderie. But what's crucial is identifying what matters to you, what sparks joy. Marcus ran a hand through his neatly styled hair, his expression contemplative. "I think I've lost sight of what sparks joy. I used to love art, painting, specifically. I was never professional, but it brought me peace. Somewhere along the way, I let it go." "Then maybe you should explore that again," Agnes suggested, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. "It's never too late to reconnect with your passions. Sometimes, it's those small things that bring the most fulfillment." His gaze flickered to the window, watching the clouds drift by as if contemplating her words. "You're right. I think I've been so focused on climbing the corporate ladder that I forgot what made me happy in the first place. Life is too short to ignore what makes you feel alive," Agnes said, her heart swelling with hope for him. "It's about finding balance. You can work hard and still make time for what you love." Marcus turned back to her, a smile slowly forming on his lips. "You're really inspiring, you know that." Agnes chuckled, feeling a warm glow spread through her. "Thank you, but it's all about perspective. We all have our struggles. Sharing them can sometimes illuminate the path forward." The flight attendants began serving drinks, breaking the intensity of their conversation. Agnes ordered a coffee, while Marcus opted for a soda. As they waited, the conversation shifted to lighter topics, the atmosphere around them becoming more relaxed. They exchanged stories about their hometowns, their families, and their experiences in life. "I have a younger sister," Marcus shared, his tone lighter. "She's a lot like you, full of determination. She joined a nonprofit organization after college, and she's been trying to make a difference in our community. I admire her passion." "That's wonderful," Agnes replied. "It sounds like she's found her calling. I think it's essential to support one another in our pursuits. Sometimes, the people closest to us can inspire us to take that leap of faith." "You're right," he agreed. "I've been thinking about reaching out to her more. I think she'd be excited to talk about her work. I've always kind of kept my distance from that side of the family. Maybe I need to change that." "Absolutely," Agnes encouraged. "Family can be a powerful source of support and inspiration. And who knows, maybe she can help you rediscover your love for art." As their drinks arrived, Marcus took a sip of his soda, his demeanor noticeably lighter. "You know, I didn't expect to have this kind of conversation on a flight. I thought I was going to sit here and stew in my discomfort the whole way home." "Sometimes, the most unexpected conversations can lead to the most significant changes," Agnes said. "I'm glad we talked. I can feel the energy shifting between us." "Me too," he said, nodding. "I think I'll remember this flight for a long time." Their conversation continued to flow effortlessly as they shared more about their dreams and fears. Agnes found herself opening up about her experiences in the military, how she had faced discrimination and prejudice, but had learned to rise above it. She talked about the importance of advocating for equality and understanding in a world that often tries to divide people. "I can't even imagine what it's like to serve in a space where you face that kind of adversity," Marcus said, his tone sincere. "I've had my own moments of ignorance, but hearing your story makes me realize how much I still have to learn." "It's a journey for all of us," Agnes replied. "We're all on different paths, and that's okay. What matters is that we're willing to learn and grow. It's about challenging ourselves to be better." The flight continued, and the more they talked, the more comfortable they became. Agnes could feel the walls between them crumbling, replaced by a budding camaraderie. She was grateful for the connection they had forged, realizing that sometimes the simplest interactions could lead to profound changes. As they neared their destination, Agnes felt a sense of satisfaction wash over her. She had stepped out of her comfort zone, shared her truth, and challenged someone's preconceived notions, all within the confines of a cramped airplane seat. The idea that her experiences could spark understanding in another person filled her with hope for a better future. "Thank you for being so open with me," Marcus said, his voice earnest. "I've learned more in this one flight than I have in years." "I feel the same way," Agnes replied, her heart swelling. "It's all about connection. If we can share our stories and be vulnerable with one another, we can change the narrative." As the plane began its descent, she glanced out the window, watching the clouds below part to reveal the landscape. She felt a rush of excitement and anticipation for what awaited her on the ground. She would be returning home, but she also felt like she was taking a piece of this experience with her, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, change is possible. As they landed and the plane taxied to the gate, Agnes turned to Marcus. "Promise me you'll reach out to your sister and start painting again." He smiled, the sincerity in his eyes unmistakable. "I promise. And I'll remember to be more open-minded moving forward." "Good," Agnes said, feeling a warmth in her heart. It's the little steps that can lead to the most significant transformations. As the seatbelt sign turned off, they gathered their belongings and prepared to disembark. Marcus turned to her, a thoughtful look on his face. "Can I ask you for a favor?" "Of course," she replied. "Can we keep in touch? I'd love to hear how you're doing and maybe share my progress with you too. I think it would help keep me accountable." Agnes smiled widely. "Absolutely. Here, let me give you my email address." They exchanged contact information before stepping into the aisle together, ready to face whatever awaited them outside the plane. As they walked off the plane, Agnes felt a sense of fulfillment. She had not only made a connection with Marcus, but also rekindled her passion for sharing her story. In that moment, she realized that sometimes it only takes a simple note and a genuine conversation to change the course of someone's life, and perhaps her own. The aftermath. As Agnes stepped off the plane, the bustling terminal greeted her with its cacophony of sounds, luggage rolling over tiled floors, announcements echoing through the air, and families reuniting with laughter and hugs. The familiar sight filled her with warmth. This was home, a place where she could shed her military uniform and embrace her civilian life again. She paused at the airport cafe, tempted by the aroma of fresh coffee and pastries. After a long flight, she craved a comforting treat. As she ordered a cinnamon roll and a steaming cup of coffee, her mind drifted back to her conversation with Marcus. The unexpected connection lingered in her thoughts, igniting a flicker of hope that change was possible, even in a world filled with preconceived notions. Settling at a small table near the window, Agnes took a moment to reflect on her life. The military had taught her the power of resilience and the importance of standing up for what was right. It had also exposed her to harsh realities, the biases, the prejudices, and the struggles faced by those who served alongside her. She understood the weight of those experiences, and she felt a deep responsibility to share them. As she sipped her coffee, her phone buzzed with a message. It was Marcus. "Hey Agnes, just wanted to say thanks again for the conversation. I've been thinking a lot about what we talked about. I'll definitely reach out to my sister and see if she can help me find some art classes. I'll keep you posted on my progress." A smile spread across Agnes's face. It was heartening to know that their exchange had resonated with him. She quickly typed a response. "You're welcome. I'm glad to hear that. Remember, every small step counts. Keep me updated. I'd love to hear about your journey back to art." As she sent the message, her heart felt light. Their brief encounter on the plane had ignited a spark of change, and she was eager to see where it would lead for both of them. After finishing her coffee and cinnamon roll, Agnes made her way to the baggage claim. As she waited for her suitcase, she noticed families embracing and friends laughing, their joy contrasting with the isolation she often felt after returning from deployments. While she cherished her service, it came with a price: emotional distance from those who couldn't fully grasp her experiences. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from her sister, Lily. "Hey sis, welcome back. Can't wait to see you. Let's get together this weekend. I have so much to tell you." Agnes felt a rush of warmth. Lily was her anchor, the one person who always managed to pull her back to the surface when she felt like she was drowning. "Absolutely. Let's do brunch on Sunday. Can't wait to catch up." With her suitcase finally in tow, Agnes navigated through the crowded terminal, her thoughts still lingering on Marcus and their conversation. She couldn't shake the feeling that their exchange had set something in motion, not just for him, but for her as well. It was a reminder of the importance of connection, of reaching out and engaging with others. 2 days later, Sunday arrived, bringing with it a sense of excitement and anticipation. Agnes spent the morning preparing for her brunch with Lily. She chose a comfortable outfit, jeans, and a cozy sweater, something that felt casual yet put together. As she applied her makeup, she glanced in the mirror, thinking about the stories she would share. Lily arrived at the cafe early, her vibrant personality lighting up the room. She greeted Agnes with an enthusiastic hug. "You're finally back. I missed you." "I missed you too," Agnes replied, feeling the familiar warmth of her sister's embrace. They settled into a cozy booth by the window, sunlight streaming in and casting a soft glow over the table. "So, tell me everything. How was your deployment?" Lily asked, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Agnes took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. "It was intense, as always. We faced a lot of challenges, but I learned so much. It's hard to explain the feeling of serving alongside brave men and women. There's this bond that forms, and it's hard to replicate that outside the military." Lily nodded, her expression serious. "I can't imagine how tough that must be. But I'm glad you're back safe. I've been working on some projects at the nonprofit, and it's been rewarding, but also exhausting." "What kind of projects?" Agnes inquired, genuinely interested. "We're working on a community art initiative," Lily explained. "We're trying to create a space for local artists to showcase their work and teach workshops for kids. I thought of you immediately. I know how much you love art." Agnes felt a spark of interest ignite within her. "That sounds incredible. Art has such a powerful way of bringing people together. What can I do to help?" Lily's face lit up. "I was hoping you'd say that. We need volunteers to help organize events, and I thought you could lead a workshop. Your experience would be invaluable." Agnes hesitated, a mix of excitement and anxiety swirling in her chest. "I haven't taught anything like that before. What if I'm not good enough?" "Trust me, you are more than capable," Lily said firmly. "You have a gift for connecting with people. This is an opportunity for you to share that passion. Plus, it could be a great way to reconnect with your love for art." The thought intrigued Agnes, but fear tugged at her. Could she really step back into that world? What if she fell short of expectations? "Okay, let me think about it," she replied, wanting to keep the door open, but needing time to process the idea. "Of course, just remember, it's all about having fun and sharing what you love. No pressure," Lily reassured her, and Agnes felt the weight of the world lift a little. As they chatted over brunch, catching up on their lives and the adventures they had missed, Agnes felt a sense of grounding settle within her. She realized how much she had missed these moments of connection, the laughter and the shared experiences that made life meaningful. The next week, back in her apartment, Agnes found herself reflecting on her conversation with Lily. The idea of leading a workshop lingered in her mind. She pulled out her old sketchbook, its pages yellowed with time. The familiar smell of paper brought back memories of countless hours spent doodling and painting. It was a part of her life that she had neglected, a passion she had buried beneath the weight of service. Flipping through the pages, she paused at a drawing of a sunset over a calm sea, vivid colors blending seamlessly. In that moment, she felt a longing to rediscover her love for art. Perhaps leading a workshop wasn't just about sharing her skills. It was an opportunity to reignite a spark within herself. Taking a deep breath, She grabbed her phone and shot Marcus a text. "Hey Marcus, I hope you're doing well. I've been thinking about our conversation on the plane, and I wanted to see how you're progressing with reconnecting with art." A few moments later, he replied, "Hi Agnes, I'm doing well, thanks for asking. I actually reached out to my sister, and we're going to explore some art classes together. I'm excited, but also a little nervous. How about you?" Agnes felt a rush of pride for him. "That's awesome. I'm considering leading the community art workshop. I'm both excited and scared. I haven't taught anyone in a long time. You'll be great at it. I can't wait to hear all about it. You inspire me to keep pushing my boundaries." Agnes smiled, feeling a surge of motivation. She wasn't just changing Marcus's life, he was also impacting hers. That weekend, she called Lily. "I'd decided to lead the workshop." "Really?" Lily's voice was a mix of excitement and surprise. "That's amazing. I knew you'd come around. I'm still nervous, but I think it's time to step back into it," Agnes admitted, a sense of determination building within her. As they finalized the details, Agnes felt a renewed sense of purpose. The workshop would be an opportunity to share her love for art with others, to inspire young minds, and to connect with her community in a meaningful way. In the weeks that followed, Agnes dedicated her evenings to planning the workshop. She created lesson plans, gathered supplies, and reached out to local artists for inspiration. Each stroke of her brush on the canvas felt like a rediscovery, a reunion with a part of herself that had long been dormant. And as she immersed herself in this process, she couldn't help but think of Marcus. Their conversation had been a catalyst, a reminder that meaningful change often begins with vulnerability and openness. It wasn't just about her journey anymore. It was about the connections they made along the way, and how those connections could ripple out into the world. The day of the workshop finally arrived. Agnes stood in the community center, the space buzzing with energy as children and their parents gathered. She felt a wave of nervousness wash over her, but as she looked around at the eager faces, she remembered her purpose. She was here to inspire, to share her love of art, and to foster creativity. "Welcome, everyone," she called, her voice ringing with excitement. "I'm so glad you're here today. Let's dive into a world of colors, shapes, and imagination." And as she began to share her passion, Agnes felt a sense of belonging she hadn't realized she had missed. The walls of her heart began to open, and with each brushstroke shared, she recognized that this was just the beginning of something beautiful, a journey of connection, inspiration, and the power of art to change lives. Unveiling the canvas, the sun bathed the community center in golden light, casting a warm glow on the cheerful faces gathered in the art room. Agnes stood at the front, surrounded by an array of art supplies, paints, brushes, canvases, and palettes, her heart racing with anticipation. The workshop had drawn a diverse group of participants, ranging from eager children clutching paintbrushes like magic wands to adults seeking a creative outlet. "Before we dive in," Agnes began, her voice steady, "I want you all to take a moment and think about why you're here today. Whether you're here to learn, to express yourself, or simply to have fun, I want you to embrace that feeling. Art is about freedom, exploration, and connecting with one another." As she spoke, Agnes noticed a small boy at the front, his eyes wide with curiosity. He clutched a paintbrush tightly in his hand, almost as if it were a talisman. "What are we going to paint?" he asked, his enthusiasm infectious. Agnes smiled at him. "That's a great question. Today, we're going to create our own interpretations of a sunrise. Sunrises symbolize new beginnings, hope, and the promise of a new day, just like our journey here together." The room filled with excited chatter as the participants began to gather their materials. Agnes could feel her nerves melting away, replaced by the exhilarating energy of creativity and collaboration. She divided the participants into smaller groups, encouraging them to share ideas and collaborate on their canvases. It was wonderful to see the young and old working side by side, united by a common goal: to create something beautiful. Don't be afraid to mix colors. Agnes encouraged as she walked around, observing their progress. The beauty of art lies in its imperfections and the unique expressions each of you brings to your work. As the participants began painting, the room buzzed with laughter and conversation. Agnes felt a sense of fulfillment as she watched their creativity flow. The boy with the paintbrush approached her, his canvas splashed with vibrant oranges and pinks. "Look, I made a sun that's rising," he exclaimed, his face glowing with pride. "That's amazing," Agnes replied, kneeling beside him. "You've captured the warmth of the sun perfectly. I can feel the energy radiating from your painting." The boy beamed, and Agnes felt a rush of joy. This was the magic of art. It could bridge generations, foster connections, and ignite passion. She moved through the room, offering guidance and encouragement to each participant, feeling her own heart expand with every smile exchanged. An unexpected visitor. Just as the workshop was in full swing, the door swung open, and a familiar figure stepped inside. It was Marcus. Dressed casually in jeans and a t-shirt, he looked a bit out of place amidst the colorful chaos. But the moment their eyes met, Agnes felt a surge of happiness. His presence added an extra layer of warmth to the room. "Hey, I didn't want to miss this," Marcus called out, his enthusiasm palpable. "I've heard so much about your workshop, and I wanted to see it for myself." "Marcus," Agnes exclaimed, her voice brimming with excitement, "I'm so glad you're here. We're just getting started. Feel free to join any group." Marcus nodded, moving toward a table where a group of teenagers was huddled around their canvases, deep in discussion. As he approached, they welcomed him with friendly smiles, and Agnes watched as he engaged with them, offering suggestions and encouragement. It warmed her heart to see him connecting with the group, embodying the very spirit of community she had hoped to foster. After a while, Agnes called everyone to gather around for a brief discussion. "I'd love to hear about what you're creating. Each of you has a unique story to tell through your art." The participants shared their inspirations, and Marcus chimed in, sharing his own experience with art. "I recently started exploring painting again after years of putting it aside. It's been therapeutic for me, a way to reconnect with my emotions." Agnes could see how his words resonated with the others, inspiring them to reflect on their own journeys. She felt grateful for Marcus's presence, realizing that their connection had grown beyond that single moment on the plane. They were now part of each other's stories. Breakthrough moments. As the workshop continued, Agnes encouraged participants to step outside their comfort zones, experiment with colors, and let their emotions guide them. She felt a sense of pride as she observed the transformations taking place before her eyes. Each canvas blossomed with vivid colors and intricate designs, a testament to their creativity and collaboration. At one point, Agnes noticed the boy from earlier hesitating as he stared at his canvas. "What's wrong?" she asked gently, kneeling beside him. "I don't think I can make it look like the sun," he murmured, his confidence wavering. Agnes leaned in, her voice soothing. "Art isn't about perfection. It's about expression. It's okay if it doesn't look exactly like a sun. What matters is how you feel while creating it. Why don't you close your eyes for a moment and imagine what the sun feels like? Let that guide your brush." He nodded slowly, closing his eyes. As Agnes watched, she felt a wave of empathy wash over her. In that moment, she remembered her own struggles with self-doubt during her military service. She had often grappled with feeling inadequate in a world where expectations ran high. After a moment, the boy opened his eyes, a newfound determination lighting up his face. He picked up his brush, and with bold strokes, he began to paint. As the colors swirled and merged on his canvas, Agnes saw his confidence return, transforming doubt into creativity. "Look at that," Agnes exclaimed, her heart swelling with pride. "You're creating something beautiful. Keep going." The boy smiled, his enthusiasm contagious. "I'm going to make it the best sunrise ever." The workshop continued, and Agnes encouraged more breakthroughs, guiding participants to embrace their fears and uncertainties. She witnessed transformations happening not only on the canvases, but within the hearts of those present. Each stroke of paint represented a step towards self-discovery, a celebration of individuality. Connecting through art. As the afternoon wore on, the workshop reached its climax. Laughter and chatter filled the room, blending with the scent of paint and creativity. Participants began to showcase their finished pieces, and Agnes felt a sense of pride swell within her. "Now it's time for our art show," she announced, her voice brimming with excitement. "I want each of you to share your artwork and the story behind it. Remember, art is about sharing your unique perspective." One by one, the participants presented their pieces, each story a reflection of their journey. A young girl spoke of a sunset that reminded her of her grandmother, while an adult shared how painting had helped him cope with loss. As they shared, Agnes felt tears of joy well up in her eyes. This was the essence of community, people coming together, supporting one another, and finding solace in shared experiences. When it was Marcus's turn, he stood confidently before the group, his painting vibrant with color. "This piece represents my journey back to art," he explained. "It's about rediscovering a passion that I thought I lost. I'm grateful to Agnes for inspiring me to reconnect with this part of myself." The room erupted in applause, and Agnes felt a warmth radiate through her. Marcus's journey echoed her own. They were both learning to embrace their vulnerabilities and find strength in their shared stories. As the presentations concluded, Agnes invited everyone to step back and appreciate the collective artwork created that day. "Look around at the diversity of colors and stories," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "This is what art is about, celebrating our individuality while finding common ground." The atmosphere in the room was electric, filled with a sense of accomplishment and camaraderie. Participants mingled, exchanging thoughts and encouraging one another, their connections deepening through the shared experience of creativity. The lasting impact. As the workshop drew to a close, Agnes felt a bittersweet ache in her heart. This day had been transformative, not just for the participants, but for her as well. She had rediscovered her love for art and community, and she realized the power of vulnerability and connection. After everyone began to pack up their supplies, Marcus approached her. "That was incredible," he said, a genuine smile lighting up his face. "You have a gift for bringing people together and inspiring them." "Thank you, Marcus," Agnes replied, feeling her cheeks flush with warmth. "It means a lot to hear that from you." "Do you plan to host more workshops in the future?" he asked, hope shining in his eyes. "I'd love to," Agnes said, excitement bubbling within her. "This has been an amazing experience, and I think there's so much potential for more connections and creativity in our community." Marcus nodded in agreement. "I'd be happy to help in any way I can. We can keep each other accountable as we pursue our passions." "Absolutely," Agnes said, her heart swelling with gratitude for the connection they had formed. She realized that this workshop had not only allowed her to rediscover her love for art, but also forged a friendship that had the potential to grow into something beautiful. As the last of the participants said their goodbyes, and the room began to clear out, Agnes took a moment to soak it all in. She had stepped out of her comfort zone, embraced vulnerability, and found strength in the connections she had fostered. This workshop was just the beginning of her journey, a journey that would continue to unfold in unexpected and beautiful ways. And as she glanced at the colorful canvases around her, Agnes felt a renewed sense of purpose. She was ready to embrace whatever came next. A brush with destiny. The following weeks after the workshop felt like a blossoming garden for Agnes. With the success of the community art event echoing in her mind, she decided to establish a regular series of workshops, eager to build on the connections and inspiration that had ignited within that vibrant room. A community coming together. Agnes reached out to the local community center, proposing a monthly art workshop dedicated to all ages. She envisioned a space where people could come together to explore their creativity, share their stories, and celebrate the unique tapestry of their experiences. With each passing day, her vision crystallized into a tangible plan. "Imagine a space where we can create, connect, and grow together," she told the community center coordinator, a woman named Laura, who was intrigued by the idea. "Art has a way of breaking down barriers and fostering understanding among people." Laura nodded, her enthusiasm evident. "Absolutely. We can use the center's larger auditorium for bigger groups. Let's plan a launch event to spread the word." The excitement was infectious as they collaborated on promotional materials and planned activities for the upcoming event. They decided on an Art for All Day, where everyone could bring their art supplies and participate in various activities, ranging from painting and sculpting to collaborative mural projects. Agnes reached out to the participants from the first workshop, inviting them to join in as co-facilitators for the event. To her delight, many responded with enthusiasm. Marcus, too, was on board, eager to help with the logistics and share his newfound passion for art. Together, they began crafting a community-focused vision that resonated with everyone. Connections deepen. As the launch day approached, Agnes felt a mixture of excitement and nerves. Would people show up? Would they feel the same sense of belonging and inspiration she had experienced during the last workshop? The night before the event, she couldn't sleep. Instead, she spread out her art supplies on her kitchen table and began sketching ideas for the day's activities. With the sun just beginning to rise, she found herself immersed in the colors of the sunrise, which inspired her piece for the day. As she painted, her heart swelled with the promise of new connections and shared experiences. On the day of the event, the community center buzzed with energy. People began streaming in, their faces bright with anticipation. Families, individuals, and artists of all levels gathered, filling the space with laughter and conversation. Agnes looked around, overwhelmed with joy. Marcus arrived, carrying a large canvas and a selection of vibrant paints. "I thought we could create a community mural together," he suggested, excitement evident in his voice. "That's a fantastic idea," Agnes replied, her heart fluttering at the thought. "Let's set it up in the corner over there so everyone can contribute throughout the day." They quickly arranged a designated area for the mural, inviting everyone to join in and add their unique touch to the canvas. As people gathered around, Agnes felt the familiar energy of collaboration take hold. She circulated through the crowd, offering encouragement and guidance while facilitating spontaneous conversations about the creative process. Finding common ground. As the day progressed, Agnes noticed a beautiful blend of interactions happening among the participants. People who had never met before shared their stories, fears, and triumphs while working on their individual projects or contributing to the mural. The canvas soon became a vivid representation of the community, a patchwork of colors and patterns reflecting the diverse lives intertwined within it. At one point, she found herself standing beside a young woman named Sarah, who seemed hesitant as she dipped her brush into a bright yellow paint. "I don't think I can paint anything good," Sarah admitted, looking down at her canvas with uncertainty. Agnes knelt beside her, sensing the vulnerability in her voice. "What if you started with a color that represents how you feel?" she suggested gently. "Let that guide you." Sarah paused, considering the idea. "I've always loved yellow. It feels warm and bright to me, but I'm scared it won't turn out right." Agnes smiled, her heart warming at the young woman's honesty. "Art isn't about perfection. It's about expression. Just let the brush move. Trust the process." With Agnes's encouragement, Sarah began to paint swirls of yellow, her confidence growing with each stroke. "This feels freeing," she exclaimed, a smile breaking across her face. "See, you're expressing yourself, and that's what matters most," Agnes said, her heart swelling with pride for Sarah's progress. As the afternoon light streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow over the creative chaos, Marcus approached, a huge grin on his face. You should see how many people are joining in on the mural. It's becoming a true masterpiece." The mural had transformed into a vibrant tapestry, each edition telling a story. Agnes felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was more than just a day of art. It was a celebration of community, connection, and the power of creativity to heal and unite. A moment of reflection. As the event drew to a close, Agnes stood back, taking in the mural that had evolved throughout the day. Each section was alive with colors, patterns, and symbols, representing the unique stories of everyone who had participated. She felt a soft tap on her shoulder and turned to see Sarah standing there, her face glowing with happiness. "Thank you for encouraging me to paint," she said shyly. "I never thought I could do something like this." Agnes beamed at her. "You did this. Your creativity shines through. Just remember, you have the power to express yourself in so many ways." As the crowd began to disperse, the atmosphere shifted to one of camaraderie. People exchanged phone numbers, promising to stay connected and participate in future workshops. Agnes felt the bonds they had formed, realizing how powerful art had been in weaving their lives together. Marcus approached her once more, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "We should definitely do this again. The energy here was incredible." "I completely agree," Agnes said, her heart racing at the thought. "Maybe we can host a monthly art night where people can come and work on projects together, just to keep the spirit alive." Marcus nodded enthusiastically. "Let's make it happen. We can brainstorm ideas together." As they shared ideas and visions for future events, Agnes felt a deep sense of gratitude wash over her. This journey had brought not only a rekindled passion for art, but also a meaningful friendship with Marcus, a partnership grounded in shared dreams and a commitment to making a positive impact. The power of community. The days that followed the event felt transformative for Agnes. She began organizing regular meetings with Marcus and Laura to plan more workshops and community art nights. Each session was an opportunity to continue fostering connections, providing support, and encouraging self-expression. As word spread about the art workshops, the community began to flourish. More people attended each event, eager to explore their creativity and share their experiences. Agnes found herself surrounded by a vibrant tapestry of voices, ideas, and perspectives, each bringing a unique flair to the gatherings. She also began incorporating different themes into the workshops, such as healing through art, storytelling through visual expression, and collaborative projects that involved local schools. The excitement in the room was palpable as participants discovered new facets of themselves and one another. One afternoon, a group of teenagers joined the workshop, each carrying their unique artistic style. As they worked side by side with older participants, Agnes noticed how they inspired one another. The teenagers brought a fresh energy and perspective, and the adults were reminded of the joy of creation. Art allows us to connect with one another on a deeper level, Agnes said during one session, her voice passionate. "It doesn't matter our age, background, or experiences. What matters is that we are here, sharing, creating, and learning from each other." A personal journey. As the community art nights flourished, Agnes found herself reflecting on her own personal journey. The experiences she had encountered since the initial confrontation on the plane had led her down a path of discovery, one that intertwined art, community, and friendship. She began exploring her own artwork more deeply, channeling her emotions and experiences into her creations. The mural from the first workshop became a turning point for her, a representation of her own growth and healing. Each brushstroke served as a reminder of the power of vulnerability, the importance of connection, and the beauty of self-expression. One evening, as she painted in her studio, she felt a surge of inspiration. She decided to create a series of pieces reflecting the themes of resilience, hope, and community. Each canvas would tell a story of individuals who had overcome adversity, embraced their uniqueness, and found strength through collaboration. With each painting, she poured her heart into the canvas, reflecting on the friendships she had formed and the connections she had nurtured. She envisioned an art exhibit showcasing these pieces, inviting the community to share in her journey. An invitation to inspire. With her vision crystallizing, Agnes reached out to the community center once more. "I want to organize an art exhibit to showcase our collective stories," she proposed to Laura. "It would be a celebration of our community and the creativity we've cultivated together." Laura's eyes sparkled with excitement. "That's a fantastic idea. We can host it here at the center and invite everyone who has participated in our workshops." As they began planning the event, Agnes felt a sense of purpose swell within her. This exhibit would not only highlight her own work, but also the contributions of every participant who had shared their voice through art. It was an opportunity to uplift and empower one another, showcasing the collective strength of their community. She worked tirelessly, creating a series of paintings that spoke to the heart of each story. Each piece embodied the essence of resilience, the ability to rise above challenges, to transform pain into beauty, and to forge connections through creativity. The night of the exhibit arrived, and the community center buzzed with excitement. People filled the space, admiring the artwork and sharing their own stories. Agnes stood beside her creations, feeling a profound sense of belonging and gratitude. As the evening unfolded, she watched as individuals engaged in meaningful conversations, connecting over shared experiences and artistic expressions. The exhibit became a living testament to the power of art in bridging divides, fostering understanding, and celebrating the richness of diversity. An unexpected encounter. Just as the night seemed to reach its peak, Agnes noticed a familiar figure across the room, a man in a crisp suit, standing near one of her paintings. It was the same man who had challenged her on the plane, his expression contemplative as he took in the artwork. Curiosity piqued, Agnes approached him cautiously. "Hello," she said, her voice steady. "I see you found one of my pieces." He turned to her, recognition flashing across his face. "Agnes, right. I didn't expect to see you here. Your work is remarkable." His unexpected compliment surprised her. "Thank you. This piece reflects a journey of resilience and connection, a journey I've experienced since our last encounter." The man's expression softened, and he gestured toward the painting. "I didn't realize how much I needed to learn about the stories behind art. That day on the plane, I wasn't just being rude. I was projecting my own biases without understanding." Agnes took a deep breath, sensing an opportunity for growth. "It's okay. We all have our moments of misunderstanding. What matters is how we choose to move forward from those experiences." He nodded, visibly reflective. "I'd like to understand more about this community and the art you've cultivated. How can I help?" Building bridges. With the evening winding down, Agnes and the man engaged in a meaningful conversation. She shared the vision behind the workshops, the connections formed, and the transformative power of art in fostering understanding. As they talked, Agnes felt a shift within her. The man, once a figure of tension in her life, now stood as someone eager to learn and contribute. She realized that change was possible, even among those who initially held prejudiced views. By the end of the night, he expressed a genuine desire to support the community's artistic endeavors. "I'd love to help sponsor future workshops or events," he said, his sincerity evident. "I want to be part of this positive change." Agnes smiled, feeling the weight of her journey lift a little more. "That would be incredible. Art has the power to heal and connect us all, and I'm grateful for your willingness to join in." As the evening came to a close, Agnes felt a renewed sense of purpose and hope. The journey she had embarked on had evolved into something much larger than herself, a movement of creativity, resilience, and community that would continue to flourish. The note she had received that fateful day on the plane had indeed changed everything. It had opened doors to self-discovery, connection, and the understanding that transformation begins within each individual, a canvas of possibilities. As the weeks turned into months, Agnes and the community thrived. Workshops continued to draw participants of all ages, backgrounds, and experiences. The mural that had begun during the first workshop became a permanent fixture at the community center, a visual representation of their shared stories and growth. Agnes found herself reflecting on the impact of art on her life and the lives of those around her. It was a beautiful reminder of how creativity could break down barriers, fostering connections that transcended differences. Her own series of paintings gained attention, leading to opportunities for exhibitions in neighboring towns. With each new piece, Agnes continued to explore the themes of resilience and unity, drawing inspiration from the community that had embraced her. And as she looked at her canvas, she saw not only her journey but also the collective journey of everyone who had shared in the creative process. Each stroke represented a story, a celebration of their struggles, triumphs, and connections. Embracing the future, Agnes stood at the edge of the mural one afternoon, taking in the vibrancy and energy that radiated from it. The community had come together to create something beautiful, a testament to their collective strength. With a smile, she realized that the journey was far from over. There were still countless stories to tell, connections to make, and art to create. She felt the excitement of new possibilities unfolding before her. As she prepared for the next workshop, Agnes knew that each participant brought something unique to the table. Together, they would continue to explore the power of art as a means of expression, connection, and healing. And as she looked out at the bright, colorful mural, a reminder of the transformation that had taken place, Agnes felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey she had embarked upon. The note that had changed everything was just the beginning. Art had become more than just a passion. It had become a pathway to unity, understanding, and love within her community. With her heart full, she stepped forward into the future, ready to embrace whatever came next, knowing that together they would paint a canvas of endless possibilities, a tapestry of transformation. With the dawn of a new year approaching, Agnes stood in her studio, surrounded by the vibrant canvases that reflected the spirit of her community. Each painting told a story, a narrative of struggle, resilience, and the joy of connection. The community art workshops had blossomed into a movement, igniting a fire of creativity that seemed to spread like wildfire. The seeds of change. As she prepared for the next workshop, Agnes felt a wave of excitement. The upcoming event was special. It would coincide with a community festival that celebrated diversity in all its forms. Organizers had invited local artists, musicians, and performers to participate, aiming to showcase the rich tapestry of cultures that defined their town. Agnes had been approached to lead a series of art activities during the festival, which thrilled her. "This is our chance to show everyone the power of art," she thought, envisioning the colorful banners, collaborative murals, and interactive art stations that would bring people together. In her heart, she hoped this event would not only celebrate their individual talents, but also highlight the beauty of their shared experiences. "Let's create a space where everyone feels welcome, where stories can be shared, and art can flourish," she said to Marcus during their planning sessions. "We should also incorporate an interactive element where attendees can leave their mark on a larger piece, a mural or mosaic that represents our community," Marcus suggested, his enthusiasm palpable. Agnes loved the idea, envisioning a mural that would capture the essence of their diverse backgrounds and experiences. The festival arrives. As the festival day approached, Agnes and the team worked tirelessly to prepare. They gathered supplies, painted banners, and arranged spaces for art activities. The community center buzzed with excitement, and as the day of the festival dawned, the atmosphere felt electric. Agnes arrived early to set up her art station, transforming a section of the park into a colorful oasis. Bright fabrics draped from the trees, and tables were adorned with an array of paint, brushes, and canvases. She wanted this space to inspire creativity and foster connection among all who participated. As the sun rose higher in the sky, families, friends, and strangers began to gather. Laughter echoed as children dashed around, their energy infectious. The air filled with the scent of delicious food from local vendors, and the sounds of musicians warming up created a festive backdrop. Agnes watched as people began to explore the various booths, curiosity shining in their eyes. She felt a surge of hope and pride, knowing that this gathering would be a platform for creativity, healing, and connection. A collective canvas. As the day unfolded, people of all ages flocked to her art station, eager to participate. Agnes greeted each person with warmth, encouraging them to express themselves freely. "This is your chance to let your creativity shine," she said, handing out brushes and paint. Marcus joined her, guiding attendees as they began painting on the large mural canvas set up on a wooden easel. "Feel free to add whatever inspires you. Colors, shapes, words. This will be our community's story," he announced, drawing in a crowd. Families gathered around the mural, collaborating to create a tapestry of images and words. Children giggled as they dipped their fingers into vibrant paint, leaving handprints in bold colors. Adults joined in, adding their artistic flair, and soon the mural began to come alive with a riot of colors and shapes, each element telling a unique story. Amid the joyful chaos, Agnes noticed a group of teenagers who initially stood back, hesitant to join in. She approached them with an open heart. "Hey, I'd love for you to add your voices to this mural. What does your community mean to you?" One girl with bright blue hair and a shy smile replied, "I don't know if I can paint anything good. I'm not really an artist." Agnes smiled gently. "Art isn't about being perfect. It's about expressing yourself and sharing your story. What do you want to say?" After a moment's pause, the girl nodded and picked up a brush. "I'll try." Encouraged by Agnes's warmth, she began to create swirls of blue and green, slowly finding her rhythm as she painted. As the mural grew, so did the sense of belonging among the attendees. Agnes moved from group to group, offering guidance, encouragement, and inspiration. Every brushstroke was infused with stories, hopes, and dreams. A celebration of voices. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the festival, Agnes stood back to admire the mural. It had transformed into a stunning representation of the community's spirit, a colorful mosaic that reflected the diverse backgrounds and experiences of everyone who had contributed. "Look at this," Marcus exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "This mural is a masterpiece. It tells our story in such a beautiful way." Agnes felt tears of joy welling up in her eyes as she surveyed the vibrant colors and designs that blended together. "I can't believe how many people came together to create this. It's incredible." Nearby, a group of children played while their parents mingled, creating an atmosphere of warmth and camaraderie. Laughter echoed around the park, mingling with the sounds of music that filled the air. This was a celebration of life, a gathering of hearts and souls united by creativity. As the festival continued, people gathered around the mural, sharing stories about their contributions. Each section of the mural sparked conversations, connecting individuals in unexpected ways. Agnes felt the beauty of unity as barriers broke down and friendships blossomed. A chance encounter. Later in the evening, as the festival reached its peak, Agnes found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought her to this moment. She was about to step away from the mural when she spotted a familiar face in the crowd, the man from the plane. He was standing near the mural, deep in conversation with a couple of attendees. As he caught Agnes's eye, he approached her with an earnest expression. "Agnes, I just wanted to say how incredible this is. The mural, the festival. It's all amazing." "Thank you," she replied, her heart racing. "I'm so glad you came. This event has been a wonderful celebration of our community." He looked around, taking in the lively atmosphere and vibrant art. "I'm genuinely impressed. You've created something beautiful here, and I can see how much it means to everyone." Agnes smiled, appreciating his sincerity. "It's a testament to the power of art to connect us all. It's been amazing to see how people have come together to share their stories." "I've learned so much since that day on the plane," he said, his voice earnest. "I realize now how important it is to listen and understand different perspectives. I want to support initiatives like this moving forward." Agnes felt a surge of hope. That's wonderful to hear. Every voice matters, and I believe we can continue to create spaces where everyone feels welcome. The ripple effect. As the festival drew to a close, Agnes couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much larger. The connections made, the stories shared, and the art created would continue to resonate long after the final brushstroke was laid. The following weeks saw a surge of interest in the community art workshops. More people signed up, eager to be a part of this movement. Agnes found herself inspired by their enthusiasm and dedicated to fostering an environment where creativity could thrive. With Marcus's help, they organized a series of follow-up workshops focused on various themes: healing through art, storytelling through visual expression, and exploring cultural identities. Each session became a melting pot of ideas, stories, and artistic exploration. Agnes also began collaborating with local schools, inviting students to participate in workshops that encourage self-expression and creativity. She wanted to inspire the next generation to find their voices through art. An invitation to collaborate. One day, while setting up for a workshop, Agnes received an email from Laura at the community center. "We're planning a collaborative art exhibit featuring local artists and community members. We'd love for you to lead this project." Excitement bubbled within her as she read the message. "This is a fantastic opportunity to showcase the diverse talents in our community," she thought. "We can highlight the stories behind the artwork and the connections that have been formed." Agnes quickly responded, offering her enthusiasm and ideas. "Absolutely. I'd love to lead this project and help facilitate the collaborative pieces. Let's create a space where artists and community members can share their voices." As they began to plan, Agnes envisioned a vibrant exhibit that would weave together the narratives of the community. Each piece would represent not only individual artistry, but also the collective experiences that had shaped them. A new chapter begins. As the days turned into weeks, Agnes immersed herself in the planning and execution of the exhibit. She worked closely with artists, encouraging them to share their stories and intentions behind their artwork. The more she learned about each artist, the more inspired she became. The exhibit took shape, showcasing everything from paintings and sculptures to photography and multimedia installations. Each piece resonated with themes of resilience, identity, and community, reflecting the journey that had unfolded since that fateful day on the plane. On the night of the exhibit's opening, Agnes stood at the entrance of the community center, her heart racing with anticipation. The space was beautifully adorned with the artwork, and as guests began to arrive, she felt a wave of emotion wash over her. Families, friends, and local dignitaries gathered, eager to celebrate the creative expressions of their community. Laughter and chatter filled the air as attendees explored the pieces, engaging in meaningful conversations about the stories behind the art. A moment of reflection. As the evening progressed, Agnes found herself in a corner of the exhibit, standing before the mural created at the festival. It was now framed beautifully, a testament to the power of collaboration and creativity. She thought about how far she had come since that day on the plane, the confusion, the tension, and the note that had sparked a journey of transformation. Each challenge had led her to this moment, a moment filled with hope and possibility. Suddenly, she felt a gentle tap on her shoulder. Turning around, she saw the man from the plane standing there, a sincere smile on his face. "Agnes, I just wanted to say how much I admire what you've created. This exhibit is truly a celebration of our community." "Thank you," Agnes replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. "It's been an incredible journey, and I'm so glad you're here to witness it." He glanced around at the attendees, his expression thoughtful. "It's inspiring to see how art can bring people together, regardless of their backgrounds. I'm grateful to have learned from this experience." Agnes nodded, feeling the weight of their shared journey. Every story matters, and I believe that by sharing them, we can continue to grow and understand each other better. As the evening unfolded, they shared laughter and stories, rekindling a connection that had begun with misunderstanding, but had evolved into a friendship based on empathy and growth. A legacy of love and understanding. In the months that followed, the community art initiatives continued to thrive. Agnes felt a sense of fulfillment as she witnessed the positive impact of creativity on the lives of those around her. The workshops became a safe haven for individuals seeking connection and self-expression, and the community center blossomed into a hub of creativity. More events were planned, each one a celebration of the diverse voices that made up their community. Agnes knew that the journey of transformation was ongoing. With each new participant in the workshops, she felt the ripple effect of change spreading further, creating an ever-expanding tapestry of resilience, connection, and love. As she reflected on her own path, Agnes felt grateful for the unexpected moments that had led her to this life. The note that had once seemed like a simple piece of paper had become a catalyst for transformation, illuminating the power of art, understanding, and community. With renewed purpose, she stood before her easel, ready to create a new piece that would capture the essence of her journey. A journey that would continue to inspire, uplift, and unite. As the brush danced across the canvas, Agnes felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that together they could paint a brighter future, one filled with hope, understanding, and boundless possibilities.